Hey everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a video to share that features this paper doll layout that I've created. My friend Nicole is a lover of the paper dolls as well as I, and she did a 6x8 album last year in which she used the paper dolls and did a layout each month of the year. And I really love that idea. I always create my dolls and then I never know what to do with them. So I'm totally inspired by her to go ahead and create a kind of a page per month throughout the year. I may do more than that, I don't know, but I'm trying to definitely commit to at least doing one page per month, kind of themed on whatever the month is, and then just kind of put them all together into an album. So to create my first page here, this is for January. I've went ahead and stamped my paper doll image onto that tag piece you see there, and that's actually a paper pad that Prima used to sell, and it has just some kind of like scripty text on it and some different like imagery on the back piece. It's really faint, but it's enough that it gives a little bit of texture to the paper dolls when you stamp on them. And they actually discontinued it, so kind of bummer, but I still have quite a bit of it left, so I want to finish using it, and I really like it, so I'm probably going to be pretty sad when I've run out of it. But for the time being, I am going to use it. But if you don't have this paper pad, you can use all kinds of other things. Text paper is really fun because it gives the dolls some dimension. Or you can just use a very light beigey skin type colored paper that you can stamp on and that won't overpower. So kind of just play around with the different pattern papers that you have and see what you like. So I went ahead and stamped her on, and I also stamped all of her clothes pieces there at the beginning of the video, so I'll be able to cut those out. And now I'm just using Copic markers to color in her skin area. I just used some light beige colors and then added a little bit of pink to her cheeks. And now I'm coloring her hair with some browns. Now the one thing about this tag paper pad is that it has like a kind of a finish to the paper, and so when I finish coloring all of the Copic parts on her, which is just her hair and her skin, it almost has like a shiny look to it just because of the coating on the paper. You can color on it fine, it's no problem at all, but it definitely makes a difference on how it looks on the final doll when it's finished. So now that I have her hair and her hair and her skin colored, I'm going to go ahead and put all of her clothes on her. So I've cut her dress out, a full piece out of this gray colored paper that I have, and then I've cut another almost completely full dress minus the ruffle at the bottom out of the pink color, and I layered that over top. And now I'm going ahead and adding the top part, which is just her shirt area. And for this, I stamped that and cut it out of glitter paper. Because this is a January page, it's going to be New Year's themed, and I wanted to make it look like she was going out for a fun New Year's event. So I wanted definitely to have her kind of glittery and sparkly. So I colored her shoes with a black Copic marker, and then I went ahead and completely cut her out with my scissors. And the area on the inside of her arm, I just used my X-Acto knife before I cut her out and opened that area up so that she didn't have any of the excess paper there. So now that she's done, I'm going to kind of set her aside and work on my page. So I have this paper from a Lawn Fawn 6x6 paper pad, and I'm just using some Tim Holtz Distress inks to kind of ink up the edges of this paper. This is going to be my sky. So I'm first just adding some aqua color that's almost the same color as the pattern paper that I'm using, and I want it to kind of look like it's snowing, so I thought this pattern paper looked pretty close to that with the white detail on it. But I also wanted it to look like it was night, so I decided to take a darker blue color of Distress ink and completely go around all of the edges of this piece and add this darker blue color just to pull in some darkness, so it didn't look so bright. I wanted it to definitely look like it was a night scene when I was finished. So I completely went around the edges, added enough ink till I was happy with it, and now it's ready to be added to my page. So I just have a white piece of 6x8 cardstock, and that's just going to kind of be what I put all the pieces on to assemble the final layout. So once I had the sky done, I decided to add my skyline pieces for the layout, and I went ahead and cut those out of my silhouette, and I just did the exact same imagery, but I did it in two different sizes and cut one out of black and one out of gray. And then I printed the quote that I wanted to use on this page onto some older Echo Park pattern paper. It's just a gray color and just has some faint swirls through it, so it gives some nice detail but not overpowering. And then I also cut a sloped stitched edge out of one of the pieces of the gray pattern paper so that it looks like it's kind of the ground that she's standing on when I assemble the entire piece. But before I get to that part at the bottom, I want to add some more snow look to the cards or to the layout. So I just went ahead and took my Dylusions white spray and kind of dumped some out onto my craft sheet. And then I also took my Favorite Things Mixative, which is like a clear shimmer, and I mixed that in to kind of water it down and also add a shimmer to that white spray when it's kind of going onto the paper here, because I wanted it to be white, but I also wanted to have a little bit of the shimmer in it. So I'm just dipping my paintbrush directly into that white spray there, and I'm just flicking it all over this piece here, and you can see it just kind of drops splatters all over it, and I just thought that that kind of added to the snowy sky look. And then to make it look realistic and like it's snowing on the whole thing, I decided to add some splatters of white to the buildings as well, just so it doesn't look like the buildings, it's completely snowing behind the buildings. I wanted it to look like it was snowing on the buildings. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and assemble my New Year's Eve ball that's going to drop in this scene. So I just found an image online, a clip art image of the ball from Times Square, and I actually don't even know if this really looks the same. I think this is a disco ball, but I think it was close enough to represent what I wanted it to. So I printed that out and then took a stitch circle die and cut that out so that I could use it on my layout when I have all the pieces adhered. So now that I have all the pieces cut out, ready to go, everything's dry, I'm going to go ahead and start to assemble my layout. So I first attached the sky piece, and then I figured out where I kind of want the buildings to be positioned, where I want the quote to be on the bottom, and then also where I want her to be standing. And then once I kind of had an idea of where everything was going to go and kind of how high up I wanted the pieces, I just used my pencil and then went around and added little lines so I knew kind of where to position things, and then I just trimmed stuff down so that I had everything all the proper size, and then I could go ahead and adhere it on. So now my quote fits perfectly, so now I just kind of need to make sure that my buildings get adhered exactly how I had them there. So I just added some lines there and added adhesive directly onto the building pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach those to the card. And then when I did that, I wanted to make sure that the one building with the tallest piece there kind of was positioned over to the left because I want her to be standing on the right. So I made sure to position it exactly how I wanted it to give lots of room to add that New Year's Eve ball and still have lots of room for her to stand. So I adhered that on, trimmed off the edges, and then went ahead and adhered the lighter gray buildings directly in front. And since I already pre-drew the line on the white piece, I knew exactly where I wanted to position that. And then I went ahead and cut the sides off of that piece as well. Now, once I had that done, it was time to put the ground pieces on. So I adhered the first sloped piece on, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the quote piece on. When I typed and printed this piece out, I pre-planned so that I knew it would definitely be the right width and wouldn't run off the edges of the page. So it fits perfectly and leaves just a tiny margin on there. And this is a quote from the movie New Year's Eve. It's one of my favorite romantic comedy type movies, and I loved this quote in the movie. I just think it's kind of true and perfect for the beginning of a new year, so I really wanted to include it on this first page. So I adhered that on, and now I'm just taking a gray Copic marker and adding a little bit of shading to where the area where her feet are going to rest, just so it looks like a shadow, like she's actually standing there and isn't just kind of floating in air. And then I'm going to add adhesive directly all over the back of her and adhere her right down on top of the whole layout so that she's kind of standing in front of New York City and the sky is behind her with the snow falling and all the beautiful buildings, and she's kind of just standing there dressed and ready for New Year's with a great quote underneath of her. And then I'm going to go ahead and just add some final details. So I put a light gray strip directly under her feet, and then I also put a glittery strip at the very bottom of the page, and then I added the New Year's Eve ball onto that tallest building like I said I was going to. It's a little bit big in proportion, but I mean obviously none of this is really proportioned properly, but I really wanted it to be evident that that ball was there so that it was without question a New Year's Eve page. So I kind of like how it turned out, and I kind of like the sizing that I ended up going with. And then to finish it off and just add a little bit of dimension to the page, since it is pretty flat, I decided to add some clear gems to the area immediately around that ball. And then I also scattered some on different areas around the layout just to look like snow falling, to go with the paint splatters that I already did, but have some dimensional ones as well. And then I just kind of added them around her feet area, and then went ahead and used silver stickles and added some dots of that as well. I probably ended up going overboard, but I just love the twinkly, glittery look that it gives the page and really makes it feel magical and like something you would see on New Year's Eve. And then once I had all the silver stickles added, that completes the page. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this series, and I will see you in February for a new paper doll art journal layout. Thanks so much for watching.